Everybody. Well, next up we've got Sami Micelli, and Sami, I'm gonna go ahead and make you a co-host so you can share your screen and your camera and all that good fun right here, right now. How's it going, Sami?
What's up? How's it going?
Hey, hey. Oh, look
Hey.
at that. Nice. I love that.
Now, it's funny. I was debating. It was like, should I do the avatar or should I not do the avatar? And then I just sat with it. I'm such a Libra. I don't know what to do. Um, what do you guys think? Leave it on, turn it, show my face. What do you
Yeah,
see?
you
You
can
want
do
to see
both.
me?
You can do a little bit of both.
I do a little bit of both. Yeah,
You
this
can do
could be a good way
both.
to like start my presentations from now on.
Yeah, yeah, for sure, for sure.
I
Uh,
love. All right, here we go.
Awesome. Well, Sami,
Hey,
yeah, with that,
hey,
super excited for your presentation today, and yeah, happy to have you on here. And I'm gonna let you go for it. So I'm gonna jump off
hey.
screen. You can just go for it, and I'll jump back on at the end. But thanks so much for taking the time today to jump in here.
Sweet. Awesome. Thank you. Yes, appreciate it. Really appreciate it. Well, hi. Yes. Hi, everyone. I'm Sami Micelli. I'm going to say hello with my face. Hello with my face. I'll change the virtual bar. I actually want you guys to see the background because I want you to see part of the house. But not my phone. Here we go. Ah, there. Okay. This is interesting. Managing a Zoom in this fashion. Okay, here we go. Yes, hello. Hi, everyone. I am Sami Micelli, and I really appreciate being here. Thank you for having me, tinyhouse.com. Um, I really excited to be here with you to share my tiny house story, her story. Today, I'm going to be speaking with you a little bit about how we got to this point in the tiny house journey and share the sequence of events that led to the manifestation of my tiny house dream and what that really came out of a dream that I was sleeping and dreaming it and sleeping and dreaming it. And then by following that dream, I got to the point where I am today. So, oops, there we go. A little about me. So I'm a former chartered HR professional turned DJ and entrepreneur. You could say I farm culture. Through a medical tourism campaign that I launched to heal my spine, I've become a healer, educator, and a researcher of earth medicine, and I serve to bridge the earth medicine communities across the globe with the companies that I have founded, Speakeasy, the Codot Space, Speakeasies, the Codot Space, and with my mom's company, the Stenos. So it was all a dream. It was all a dream, as Biggie says. Billie and I were living in the Olympic Village, Vancouver area, and I started to have a dream of living in a tiny house about 6.5 years ago. And I already owned an apartment at a young age, thanks to my dad, who had given my brother and I, a little bit of money. So I went and bought a condo and got that experience. I was part of the strata and all that. And then the market got kind of weird, so I decided to. It was actually a good time to rent instead of owning. So it was like time to sell high, and so I sold and made some money, and then decided to rent and save money. So that was an interesting strategy that I took. And it was during this time that I was living in Olympic Village that I was starting to fantasize about what it'd be like to minimize my things. Because through the moves, I was like really, shedding a lot of stuff, getting rid of a lot of stuff. So, um, sorry, the weather in Rain Coast, Canada, is what I call it, was really affecting my health. I was getting just really bad immune system crashes. And so it was just causing my immune system be under stress all the time. And so that's when I decided it would be a good idea to launch as an entrepreneur and become an independent HR consultant and a freelancer, curating communities. And because after working in HR in-house for almost 2 decades, I just really needed a change. I needed freedom. I was done living this like I call a real life neo matrix scenario, because I was just like, yeah, my body was screaming like, help me. And just, yeah, being stuck in an office and I call it grainy city because it was just gray and rainy all the time. So I opened up a company and I called it the Codot Space. And it's an eco-conscious connector that serves to support small heart-based businesses that care about their people. So, and with that, I was determined to live a new, this new digital nomad life that everybody was talking about. We had studied for quite a while in my profession as well, because we were looking at patterns of behaviors. And so I decided to book a flight and to Argentina, where I was born, and decide, well, why don't we live there for 6 months? And I called it Vamos Billie. And Billie is my French bulldog. We recently lost her, so it's still very fresh. Billie was a big part of our tiny house journey, and she still is in spirit. So thank you, Billie, and thank you for your lessons. I'm gonna try not to break out in tears. Um, So yeah, so the campaign was called Vamos Billie because what I wanted to do is I wanted to share what it would be like to travel with your pet, right? And who I didn't really see as a pet, I saw as a huge, like another person. She was probably smarter than a lot of humans today. Very intelligent dog. And so yeah, I wanted to blog and share, photography and imagery of what we were seeing, and share my experience traveling also with a medical tourism campaign. But unfortunately, um, 6 months after launching as an independent freelancer, I get violently attacked and in the wrong place, wrong time kind of setting. And my dream very quickly turns into a nightmare. The injuries I sustained become detrimental to my health. My spine was broken, soft tissue, my S1, L5 vertebrae and disc shatter. And it's pierced my central nervous system. I know this is kind of graphic, so I'm sorry if this is triggering, but and this isn't even half of the injuries. And so anyways, the injury is still wreaking havoc in my life today. Today I live with fibromyalgia, Hashimoto, and spinal degeneration. That's making my life very, very difficult to live without a strong support system. And that I do rely on Earth's medicine, which is quite broad. So at this time, unfortunately, my absolute worst nightmare begins to unravel. I very quickly fall into deep depression. The worst part is that I was left to deal with my injuries alone. So I had next to no support. So here I am starting to learn what it's like to be in isolation. Just kind of an interesting part about the tiny house journey as well, being in a small house on your own. Yeah, even the friends that I had, they all bailed. Criminal justice system fails me. It turns out the attackers are friends with the cops and the cops are corrupt. Most of my friends and family didn't even know this had happened. So I was too embarrassed and too ashamed to even call them and tell them what had happened. Only Billie was there. Really, she was my loyal canine, and I promised her that I would do everything I can to carry on with our travel plans. And I was very eager to land some clients and for my new consultancy to get traction. But unfortunately, my injuries were just too much, and I kept finding myself needing more comfort and just like the shelter. I call it the shelter of the open surf and the lifeguards of MDQ, because it's like in the surf is where I felt most at home. I needed air, I think, and oxygen. And so Vamos Billie we went. So Billie and I land in Argentina, stay some days, and we visit family, but we're really eager to get to MDQ. So what's MDQ? This is like quick one, because what I would like to share here, the keynote is that I was we were basically like almost permanent Airbnb guests, because for like 6 years we lived in a lot of Airbnbs. So we got a lot of Airbnb experience from a guest point of view. But yeah, MDQ is basically the airport code for Mar del Plata, and it's basically my favorite surf city in the Atlantic South. It's a stunning and colorful city nicknamed La Feliz, which means the happy or the joyful, and it's surrounded by big ocean water. And it's the town where my grandparents lived and we would visit as kids, and just I've been dreaming of this town forever. It's like was coming up again as part of my dreams. I even dreamt of my grandparents, and this was the key thing where I was asking them in my dreams, is it okay, like do you agree that we should go to Mar del Plata and just take off? And they're like, yeah, absolutely. So I just got this really beautiful sense of love as they were giving us the green light. So life in MDQ, became really close friends with the lifeguards. I was a lifeguard trainee as a kid, so it's just like, again, it felt like home. Billie was a staple. People loved her. She was like a little tiny lifeguard. I'll show some more photos if we have time. fast forward to 2019, and now we're like going back and forth because we had the means at the time, and basically that's what I invested in. I invested in healing my spine and visiting the South in the warmer climates and coming back here really more to like nurture our business relationships to give the Codot space some traction. But Canada was just not a kind country. It was becoming very difficult to work here for some reason. Being that I was now in Argentina, seeing Canada from a different perspective. But thankfully at that time we had some fundraising efforts and some friends put together a GoFundMe called Heal My Pinche Back, and we took some photos, and that helped us to get back to MDQ and live in this treehouse that we really enjoyed, because it gave us it actually gave me perspective of where I wanted to live. It was like everything that I was dreaming of and thinking of was transpiring because I could see it in my visions, and then I would, talk to people about it, and then it would happen. At that time, that's what was taking place. And so this tree house was like, wonder what it'd be like to live in like a tiny house. It was just always coming back in my mind. Excuse me. And so I I'm sorry, we were MDQ at this time, and it just felt like a dream because we were even living in this house. Basically, it was like this bigger house. And the reason why I mentioned all this is because I think the topic is about, when we talk about tiny houses, like the bigger, broader topic is housing. So I was thinking, like, what would be the ways that I would want to live in a way that's going to help me feel good and be able to heal in a positive way. And it was like being close to the ground, living in a tiny house, whatever. It doesn't have to be on wheels. At the time I was thinking, I'm like, even if I rented a tiny house somewhere in MDQ and it's part of a bigger house, and we share maybe some common space, and maybe we share the farm and the yard and the land, and we can grow food there, and we can grow medicine there. And those were my visions. That's what I was wanting to create and manifest. And that's what I manifest in MDQ with this tree house. And it's basically this house this woman had inherited from her parents, and she built it so that it had a dance studio. So that for me, it was like, what? Because the day that I got injured, my spine injured, I actually did a dance. I'm a dancer. So I'm going, what? And it's called The Dream. So it was like, what, in Arabic? So all these like things were very serendipitous. Unfortunately, we had to leave that house because of COVID. COVID put a big like strain on relationships, and we had to go, and we had here I am asking to live close to the ground, where I have community, where I have, because she had dogs and cats and kids, and so there was always like lots of activity, which I really enjoyed. I didn't always have to be a part of it. But suddenly now I'm in a high rise with this beautiful view, but I'm not enjoying it because I'm really high up, and it's just me and my dog, and now it's COVID and everyone's isolated. I don't know a lot of people. So it wasn't the most pleasant. And then we got stuck in the winter there. So this is where like really, it's like through adversity, you could say, it forced me to really like focus on where do I want to be. And it was the path to manifesting that, to speaking about that, to you know, uh like being really clear with what you want to manifest, and then speaking it, and then sticking with it, even though there's maybe a lot of noise and a lot of distraction, but just like ultra focused, this is what I want to create. So here we are in 2020, this high-rise building, really loud, but it was in this building, and during this time when I was spending a lot of time looking at this beautiful view and spending time on the rooftop, that I'm working with this healer, and I'm seeing him really regularly, and we're definitely seeing improvement in my spine and seeing improvement in myself, and everything was starting to look really good. And so, and I'm starting to now communicate my dreams with him, and I'm letting him know this is what it sounded like. So I said, hey G, I want to live in a tiny house that I own, where I turn it into a music studio where I can DJ, but I also want to offer it as a cafe. I want to be able to like offer yerba. I want to be able to offer yerba mate to my friends and my colleagues and my family. And I also want it to be like a creative space where people are, expressing, and, their aspirations are manifesting. And so, here I am sounding like, oh yeah, then I also said I want it to be parked on a farm. So it sounded a little bit like an inner child download, and I also share with him that I had this like inner child aspiration to be a DJ when I was 8 years old and 9 years old, seeing the DJs in Toronto. So uh, the crazy thing is that as soon as I started to communicate this with him, and he's working on my fascia and my cranial sacral and all this like stuff, um it starts to actually create like in form of material. So now the vision is feeling much more earthly. And then I start taking further actions. I communicate this idea that I had with my mom, and this intellectual property, right? So what I say to her is that this is what I would envision. Yeah, this is my DJ. Sorry. My DJ. If you want to hear my recordings, it's on SoundCloud /HUMMZ hums. That's my DJ name. So what I said to her in the visions that I had for this crazy, big picture, uh, just mind-blowing idea is that we own 3 different properties in 3 different countries, and we turn them into short-term rentals, and that's their retirement plan, and that they would allow me to become the CEO of our tourism company, the Cinos, and this is how it would grow. We would have physical spaces and not just destination management. That's what the Cinos does. It's a destination management company that my mom founded 38 years ago. And then I said, all I want to return is a tiny house because I need a place to live. And this is where I was getting really stressed out because I was like, I'm stuck in Argentina. I'm living not in the ideal place. I, risked everything that I had to, manifest this dream, and now I'm losing it all. What do I do? Right. So that's when it started to really happen. Like very quickly, we used the fact, what I said to her is, in order for this to take place, we have to come together as a family and use the family equity to build this dream. And I was really determined to carry the legacy that my mom was leaving me with her healing in Argentina, through tourism and through earth medicine, is what I felt she also did, and to really align that with her campaign, which is what had become her campaign. Okay, so really want to get to the tiny part, but here's the dream. In 2020, I did this OKR exercise, and this was, I think, catalytic, if that's an actual word. It was a catalyst for the manifestation of the tiny house, because I said, why, like, what's my why, right? And I said, I want to heal, number one. I want to educate, and I want to research the earth medicine and all these things that I'm learning about traveling and healing myself with these modalities. What is earth medicine? So for me, earth medicine is it's music, it's surfing, it's ocean water, it's the sun, it's includes herbs and mushrooms, it's Ayurveda, osteopathy, it's Pilates, yoga, mindfulness, meditation. It's like a whole combination of things, and a home. Having a home, I realized, was how much it was medicine for me. Learning Ayurvedic medicine, I recognized that I had a lot of air and fire in my natal chart, and I needed earth to feel grounded, to help ground my spine, so that I felt like I was really here. Otherwise, I'd just go flighty and stressed, right? So, and then, so this OKR, what it means is it's an objective key result exercise where you say, okay, what's my objective, and how am I going to then later say, did I achieve that objective? The key result. So for me, healing meant I could DJ in front of like hundreds or thousands of people, dance and do a show, and be in as much pain as possible, and as little pain as possible. So that's like a real key result that I want to be able to see long term. That's how I know that all this investment that I'm putting in myself is paying off. So this was basically the formula that was in my mind called regenerative. It's a regenerative formula, and it consisted of using, like, really tapping into tourism, really tapping into spending time in healing places like chakra systems on earth that were that were beneficial, like cenotes in Mexico, there's some to study, even like the experiences that were taking place in different parts of the world. So those are all really important for me as I was thinking, how are we going to travel to all these places and how are we going to live? What's going to be my home if I'm going to be in 3 different countries? I have my, the tiny house that I'm now manifesting in Canada, which I know you're also really excited to see. That I'm kind of keeping you on a cliffhanger, but there's, again, maybe I'm a bit of a perfectionist and I want to share too much, but this is, as I was manifesting this bigger picture, which was like the global dream, that's the macro, I'm thinking the micro. What's the micro? Okay, I got to manifest this house. How am I going to do? Am I going to build it myself? Or I didn't even think there would be some that were pre-built. So I reach out to some builders and I'm starting to work with Mint Tiny Homes, and they let me know that there's options to buy it or like to build it, and it would take like 3 to 6 months, which I didn't really have because I was needing to come back to Canada within like 2 months, 2-3 months. So they're like, but we also have this pre-built that's on our RV lot in Abbotsford, BC. So I said, okay. They gave me a virtual tour and I fell in love instantly. The moment I saw it virtually, I knew that was my home and I could already see where the music studio would go. It was like, yeah, in a heartbeat. And that's when I knew it was going to be ours. And I didn't call her studio at the time, but that's what was coming alive. So yeah, so then we returned to Canada and I want to show you some videos of when we signed. This is the day we signed. You might have seen this on my Instagram, but sitting in the bath, in the shower. It doesn't have a bath. It has a little seating area. I fell in love with this kitchen. This is one of the reasons I fell in love with this house, the kitchen. It's so beautiful. It doesn't feel like a tiny house. Yeah. So that's the day we signed it. And then the day it arrived, I think this is probably the funniest. This is what it looked like when it arrived. And I didn't plan on parking it in my parents' property. Like I was actually planning on parking it in Squamish, BC, which is a city like for an hour north of Vancouver. I just wanted to be near Vancouver, but not in Vancouver. But anyways, it turned out that this is how you transport a tiny house to someone's home. And this is like funny. Okay, stop on this side. It's gonna. No, stop. You're hitting the fence. Stop, you're hitting the fence. Sorry, I don't mean to yell, but he's so close to hitting the fence there. So yeah, eventually made it in here and it's sitting in that corner. So, and then this is what a real life day in the life sounds like and looks like. I listen to Argentinian rock all day, and I have a TV that has a 50-inch screen. So, because again, I wanted this to be a creative space for creatives and where we can hold meetings. So you can have Zoom meetings. So you can sit like 6 to 7, 8 people and be part of a hybrid Zoom. And I changed it to the Woo station. I grew up listening to Wu-Tang, so I grew up listening to all this shit. So this is how you get up from here. You got stairs, and this I like to call this trailer chic instead of trailer trash. I like to sit here sometimes and watch TV. Sometimes. Most of the time I'm working. That is an Argentinian quincho. That's where the famous meat is cooked. And that's an Italian oven where the famous pizza is cooked. So yeah, gastronomy is big in my world. So keep going now. We're gonna go to this is now decorated, bathroom. Obviously. Bathroom is lived in. I really like this mirror. I installed it myself. It's heavy. And I did a good job. I think I did a good job. So toilet is a RV toilet. This is an RV certified tiny home. It has a shower. So it's not meant to be, my idea is not to rent it out to be lived in. It's meant to be a studio. But of course, if we're working here, we can go pee. We weren't, I wasn't offering it as like an overnight B&B, but now it is available and is on Airbnb at the moment. But I think I'm gonna be moving it to outdoorsy, FYI. This is the studio. Welcome to the studio. Well, from here, this is right now I have a beanbag because we did a spa session with my dog. You kind of get it, right? The idea, just cognizant of time. And yeah, I mean, I'm gonna just breeze through this because we're really short on time, but Canada was really tough to live in the times of COVID. And but the moral of the story there is that the house really gave us like a home and a shelter in a time that was very, 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 very difficult. We were, segregated, and we had to spend Christmas alone, and I had Billie, so thankfully we were together. And this was basically what our life was like, just working from the kitchen, sometimes working from different places. I like to move around. And yeah, the studio and during a yoga / DJ scenario. Some of the lessons, I had some leaks in the water system. Our water system actually broke entirely because we did not winterize properly. We didn't skirt properly. There's so many things that we had to learn kind of the hard way, unfortunately. Some issues with the neighbors. You saw that we're kind of in this corner. It's not ideal. Like for me, I always envisioned her. And I named her studio to support the campaign. And yeah, I always envisioned her in a farm. So she's still movable, or that's always the option. So I'm really grateful for that. And it snowed. Okay, so the future for us is like growing this dream into the visions of the speakeasies, which is essentially, if you can imagine, a tinier version of this, with an engine. And what I want to do, which is, I know it seems far out for people today, but I think it's the future, is to create a tiny home with regenerative material as much as possible, which I think that's, at the end of the day, my dharma, why I woke up to this vision and this dream, so that I could really work with the development of more regenerative sources that are disruptive. It's disruptive. It's meant to be disruptive, because I think we can just be better humans cohabitating in this planet. I'm going to keep that short, but we can always keep talking. I'm looking to work with Nuvo, and we're looking to fundraise to build our speakeasies because we want to demonstrate viability first for our investors, and we want to be able to offer something that's a bit more turnkey first, and then we will venture back to South America to see what's up with the industrialized hemp movement and all these other kind of mycelial regenerative resources that are being innovated. So that's my talk, just in time. I don't know how much time we have for questions. I'm sorry. I know that her story is a long one, and it's a complicated one, and I'm sure if people are inspired by her, I'm happy to have longer conversations. But thank you so much, tinyhouse.com, for having me.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for jumping on here, Sammy, and sharing your story. It's a long one, like you said, and complicated, but it's very cool to hear how you're able to make it all happen, and you brought it about and whatnot. And have you been living in your tiny home for a while, or I know you're renting it out now, but how much time do you generally live in your tiny home?
Well, I haven't had so much success renting it. I've been living in it mostly.
Okay.
last year we couldn't find anyone. Canada has just become such a like famine country, and it's like it feels very weird. So yeah, I've been mostly living in her studio while I'm here, and I didn't plan on staying here. I didn't plan on being here during the winter. It was always designed for it to be an STR, and but life is keeping me here because I felt like I couldn't abandon her again. Last year I left to Mexico and to heal, and it actually broke her water system because we didn't winterize right. And so I really love this home. She's like this beautiful manifestation that feels like the universe gifted me. And it kind of feels sometimes like the witch who got her, home dropped on her, and you want to crawl under because it's like, oh my God, it's a bit overwhelming when you're doing a DIY, meaning on your own, DIY yourself. But it's been nothing but rewarding. Really, it's been the most rewarding part of the journey.
Super cool. That's awesome. Yeah. Well, yeah, thank you so much for sharing and everything today. And we're super excited to follow along. If you guys want to follow along with what she's got going on, you can find her through her social handles and whatnot. And yeah, appreciate your time jumping on here today.
Thank you. Yeah, I think you can probably find me. Micelli.Sami is my personal brand. And then we have Speakeasy's Daughter Earth, which is still in development, or at the co.space. But yeah, follow us on socials.
Cool, cool. Awesome. Well, that sounds good. Cool. Well, thank you so much for your time today. And everybody, go follow Sami and whatnot. Oh, she's got some really cool stuff going on, and appreciate your time here.
Thank you.
Awesome. Yes, absolutely. All right.